Now, units relevant to Cult of Speed. So on the column on the left, we have the Cult of Speed units that I want to talk about. And then in the column in the middle, we have the non-Cult of Speed units that I want to cult about. Of course, there's other units that are important when you're building out your list, but these are units I wanted to nail down a bit more. So we have the Dev Copus, as we've been speaking about going forward. Run as many as possible. Highly versatile as for their damage. They can actually put a good amount of punches in as their base strength 5. They get +1 to wound. So a lot of the strats in this detachment just straight up work for them. And they are the unit that you actually want to keep around for the late game. So having 1 in deep strength to keep it alive feels really good. And so when you're playing with your Dev Copters, don't throw them out willy-nilly just because you're trying to go, haha, I have you in 9 inches. I will access you with Daka Storm. You know, that might be the case if the enemy doesn't have cover or if they're not having a great armor safe as a whole. Maybe it's a small game and it's a good time to do it. But in reality, you want something else to really be getting off on them combined with your Dev Copters. And then in that case, either be able to reactionary move your Dev Copters back behind cover or have a CP in the back pocket next turn so you can pop that 4-up invuln. That's how you got to keep your Dev Copters, as they're kind of keeping everything together in your list because they're bringing some of the damage, they're bringing some of the durability, and they're bringing OC and pressure. Alongside the pressure, OC, and durability is the Dev Killer Wartrike with the Bikers. Of course, the Dev Killer is super important because he's really the only leader unit that's fundamental, character unit that's fundamental to this detachment. Of course, there's arguments for other ones. I've already given you a couple for some. Going in, Dev Killer Wartrike is just needed. Of course, I say WAAAGH Blaster is the only enhancement I necessarily really love, and the other ones are just questionable, but they are what you needed. Bikers going alongside your Dev Killers helps you a lot. If you have to run them alone because you don't have enough Dev Killer Wartrikes, that's fine. Just bring the Bikers, as having the screening, the small alarms fire with the twin link feels really good, and they go alongside everything else you're really trying to do in this detachment. So bring as many as you can. That's a very obvious no-brainer. Just remember, reactionary move, constantly letting the enemy know my wall can come, is what really is important for you when you're playing this speed wall and playing with your Bikers. So I understand how you're saying, I want to run into these scouts and just straight up kill everybody. Yes, you can do them. But what you're really looking to do with your Cult of Speed is to let the enemy know, I'm running up the flanks. If you come towards the end of the middle, you're going to get jump on my Dev Copters. You're going to get jump on my melee unit, my melee combined arm units, and my Cult of Speed units are consistently moving up the table with reactionary moves, shooting and moving scoots, and having automatic movement from the Bikers and the Dev Killer with the automatic 6. Of course, planes are optional for Cult of Speed units. Like I said, because what you're trying to do is haul someone into their backfield, into their home deployment zone, planes simply don't help you do that. And you're just investing more points into staying into your own deployment zone. That's just not going to help you win, in my humble opinion, when you're running Cult of Speed. But do what you want for fun and the memes, right? And for DACA. Then we have the Buggy. So I'm just going to break down each Buggy's data sheet ability and how I'd fill them into my list, because I think Buggies, though they suck per point and definitely need a rewrite, and hopefully GW looks at them at some point, how you use them in your list and the support role is what's important. So we have the Mega Track Scrap Jet. Mega Track Scrapjet is actually decent for skirmishes. The reason for that is because you're going to have the capability to do more to wounds on the charge, fall back and shoot people, and actually be able to get damage off in ways that other buggies wouldn't be able to for the value that they wouldn't be able to either. Now, it is more intimidating, like on paper and as it looks, than it really is. But they're not impressive as a whole for reliable for their killing potential. For 80 points, they're okay. Just know that having simply one is good enough. Just know, when I'm looking at all of these buggies, none of them in my head are what's coming forward in the beginning of the game. They're simply too easy to move block. They're not strong enough to kill the screens that get in their way. That's something that the Bikers are doing. So all of these buggies are going a support role. That means this Mega Track Scrapjet, when I say it's a skirmish unit, it means it's following that Biker unit that's making its way up the field, and maybe a couple scouts left in the way because of the Bikers, or somebody's running up to engage and shoot at the Bikers. That's where the Dev Killer Wartrike kind of shines, where he comes in, touches it, charges, makes his way in there. Then we have the custom Booster Blasta. This obviously is the unit that when he targets someone with his Rivet Cannon, he gives them -1 to hit. This is more circumstantial. If you find yourself playing against a certain enemy lists, and you might need this to try to dwindle their shooting potential. All in all, its flamers are too short. Its Rivet Gun does literally no damage offensively, so even for support fire, this one is one of the ones I'm less likely to bring, though it can be brought. Like I said, sit in the back, look at the enemy's most reliable thing that's trying to kill your Dev Coptas and kill them. or maybe somebody that you know is about to charge you. Shoot them, make them -1 to hit. Then you have the Snaz Wagon, which is the aura of -1 to hit. This one is pretty much trying to do what the custom booster blast is trying to do. But in my case, yes, it is a better ability because it's an aura, therefore it's going to affect more units and it can swing in the middle of the table. The problem with this is that it's going to get in the way of, we'll say, some of your own bikers or def copters that are already big base units that have a bunch of different model counts that are trying to hide. So a lot of the time you'll just end up throwing him away. When you do use him, you'll know as the player in the matchup. Of course, if it's a world leader matchup and you know that they're not going to shoot this thing away for the most part, then go ahead, just stick it in the way. It's not going to, whatever, it's anything, it's in the move block with the screen. That's cool. But in a shooting matchup, you know, it's playing more of a support role, getting in the way, more of a later game, and that's fine as it has decent OC. Then we have the Shock Jump Dragster for the uppy downy. Now, I know this thing sucks offensively, undoubtedly, my guys. I know it does. The real thing here is having simple board control when you're playing Cult of Speed is how you win the game. Therefore, being able to say, I have my potential to turn one, jump into this battlefield edge, take up this section of the table. So one, my enemy's unit, say I'm playing search and destroy and I'm in a corner, right? I can take this battlefield edge. Now my shock jump jumped over here before your unit simply moved over here. On my next following turn, I can either rapid ingress in your turn at the end of your movement, or in my own personal following turn, I'm going to bring in on turn 2 the def copters, and I've actually created space in behind this building where my unit can drop in freely and not get charged. So your shock jump strikes is actually creating space for your deep striking, for your rapid ingress, or let's say your enemy unit has a big unit of hell blasters and they simply decided I'm going to put them in the reserves because I don't have with fire discipline from Gladius, of course, right? Let's say they have a big unit that's really killing fire potential with volume, for example, and they put them into reserves. If you have nothing that can run and deny someone's edge of the battlefield, and they could just walk in on the battlefield edge and have a free line of fire on you, then you're simply doing something wrong as an orc player yourself, because denying firing lanes is the way you play as a melee army. The shock jump dragster is made for that turn 1 positioning potential where you move up and say, boom, okay, yes, I'm in the way here, but your charge can't get to me. If it's, let's say it's Chaos Knights, your charge can't get off to me now. Let's say it's a shooting unit. Well, now you can't get in this firing lane coming off turn 2 on the battlefield edge or coming in from deep strike. So shock jump dragster is about denying enemy placement for their deep strike and infiltration, but it's also, it's not infiltration, deep strike and reserves, but it's also about you getting your ability to drop in your deep strikes, or of course, like always, score your secondary from tabletop, from the edge. Then you have the Rocket Truck Squig Buggy, which is the one that has the indirect fire. It sucks. It's overcosted for 100 points. Even if it drops down to points, it lacks offensive potential. Simply garbage. Now we have the units that are relevant to Cult of Speed that don't have the speed free keyword. Today's sponsor, Baron of Dice. So Baron of Dice has great dice. They have actually enabled us to give these dice out for our paint competitions. So I greatly advise that you go out there. We have a link in the description for 5% discount. That's, of course, because nobody likes taxes. Shout out to Baron of Dice, because they are actually customizing orc dice just for us that you guys will be able to get a hold of, and they look exceptional. So shout out to Baron of Dice. Really appreciate you guys, and I really do suggest you get them. I love the actual texture these dice have. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, trucks and wagons. Of course, this is more of a blitz brigade kind of build here, where you're bringing multiple trucks for pressure. You're hoping to have the invulns to pop off here. Maybe you're getting shot, but you just want a bunch of beast snagger boys to disembark and do some punching. You have maybe some bikers and some copters here, but you only have enough for maybe 1 or 2 of each max unit, and you're trying to fill it out. That's totally fine. That can work out. Just make sure you have faster than use on the list. Then you have knobs. In my opinion, this is the #1 unit that you want to bring for the overall killing potential. There are other units that can be argued for. Of course, there's mega knobs, but in Nexus at the time of this recording, mega knobs are still horribly handicapped by their point cost and how much they've been nerfed. Therefore, knobs have the more well-rounded suit for they actually bring the AP for killing enemy elite infantry, which you're seeing a lot in Nexus, where there's a lot of 2-up armor saves going around everywhere. So when that def copter unit jumps up on something and there's 2 def copters shooting at a 2-up armor save type of unit, and you need to finish it off, let's say a Tau Riptide or something, you have your knobs to come in and actually be able to finish it off as well. Or if it's even, let's say, Terminators, they can run and finish them off as well. Then, but if let's say it's a Tyranid monster, you have, of course, the Beast Snagga boys. They're serving a similar role to the knobs. They're just a bit cheaper, and they're doing the devastating wounds in that case as well. They're getting up to strength 6 for the volume of single punches, so that works well into killing screens or T6 units too. So it was better, let's say, Tyranid matchups. Haha, of course, hint hint. But they can do all the same things as you would imagine for the trucks, wagons, knobs, is all in all. Then we have Zagra Wartsnagga. Surprisingly enough, yes, I do find him to be acceptable, not ideal, but acceptable. As like we spoke about, board control and table presence is really how you win game with this detachment. So having Zagra to be able to scout into a corner of the battlefield, allow you, like I said, to do similar things to take up the battlefield. He's doing what I'll say, I'll just add this now, as similar things to the Commandos. The difference is Zagra can do stealing the enemy whole field objective, as in if you put him in a wagon. I know, crazy, right? Well, actually, you can't put him in a wagon. I lied. Sorry. If you put him in position where he scouts and he moves into the mid table and then he does his WAAAGH, if you can steal the enemy home objective, let's say on Linchpin, it's a game swinging potential right there. So having Zagra on a list where everything's going Cult of Speed and your bikers are already moving and people are going to get in position to try to kill all these stupid Grots, and you're going to get a reaction move off them. You're going to stop charges into your Death Killer War Trikes. So Zagra is always in potential. The crappy part is that he can still get denied by infiltrators. That's where Commandos come into play. Commandos having the infiltrate capability stops you from getting denied from move blocked, right? So let's say a unit of Nurglings can't actually freely move block you as it could in other games. But two, it allows you to stage up somewhere safely without giving the enemy even the potential to shoot at you, and have the same role of, I have somewhere to drop in a deep strike, I have somewhere to drop my shock jump dragsta, I have somewhere to come in the battlefield edge, I have somewhere to stage to steal my natural expansion, I have somewhere to stage for my wall, right? So Commandos allow you for staging and tabletop presence, which is really an important fundamental to how you actually win games as a Cult of Speed player. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!